Good morning, Lori. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of SFOF Fiscal Focus. We're glad that you're here today. Again, thanks for taking the time to come and learn about our amazing, talented state leaders, state treasurers, and state auditors from all across the country. We are live from Kansas City this morning. I am, where it's -5 degrees, very cold, about 8 inches of snow on the ground. And yes, we're still mourning the loss for our Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll get over it though. It's just gonna take some time. Just give me some time. Don't ask me about it for a while. Like it's still a sore subject. But I wanna start this morning with a few announcements. One, if you are interested in learning more about our Smart Women, Smart Money Financial Literacy Initiative, we actually have our first virtual event of the year coming up next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, February 19th. And that is actually a free virtual event to all of our folks. And you can go to swsmidaho.com. And I'll have Melanie maybe type that in the chat room, that website for everybody to see. And I'm going to show some screenshots here in just a minute of that landing page. But it's a great event. This event is hosted by Idaho Treasurer Julie Ellsworth. We are proud to be able to bring these to women across their states free of charge. Treasurer Ball is hosting her event on Friday, June 4th in Kentucky. And we have Treasurer Milligan hosting the Arkansas event on Friday, September 24th. So if you are a state office and you are interested in learning more about how you can have your own Smart Women, Smart Money Financial Literacy Conference to the women of your state, please reach out to me, Derek@sfof.com, and let me know. We'll be happy to work with you and help you get that started. I want to just remind everybody that all of our events, I'm going to share my screen for just a second. All of our events can be found on our webpage. I'm going to start, I'm going to show you 4 different sites. This is the Idaho Smart Women, Smart Money landing page with that web address that I just gave you, where it shows our Idaho Treasurer as the host. This is where all of the attendees can come to register, see the conference agenda, breakout session information, etc. We also want to just plug if you haven't been reading our new digital magazine, it's at swsmmagazine.com. This is where we collect all of the amazing stories and do treasure spotlights of different things that our state offices are doing. And there's just a lot of great information. We try to inspire our readers with stories of how they've changed careers, how they've overcome huge hurdles. There's just a lot of great information in there. And since we started that site in August, we've had over 2 million hits now nationwide. So our readership is there. We're really getting a lot of activity, and we're really, really proud of this. As you know, Melanie, who also works with SFOF, she is now the managing editor for the digital and our print edition magazine, which the print comes out quarterly, and this digital site is updated every week. I mentioned our events page on our SFOF website, sfof.com/events. This is the best place for you to just check and see what upcoming events are. As you can see, we've got our Fiscal Focus that is today. We'll have future Corporate Corner events with some of our top SFOF sponsors. And then, of course, the first national meeting of the year in Salt Lake City, July 27th through the 30th. You can click on those tiles, and if there's information, they are live, and you can learn more about each of those. Our upcoming Fiscal Focus, as I mentioned, today we're talking to Nebraska Treasurer John Murante. Next, we're taking a couple weeks off for the Idaho virtual event. And so the next one of these will be on Tuesday, March 2nd with Indiana Treasurer Kelly Mitchell, followed by March 9th with our auditor at large on our national leadership team, West Virginia Auditor John McCuskey. We also have Louisiana Treasurer John Schroeder scheduled for Tuesday, April 6th. More of these are being scheduled. So you'll want to stop back by, and you have to register for each one of these events. So hopefully you're getting those. One tip, especially for the corporate folks that have big, heavy tech corporate spam filters, a lot of our emails from our system are going into your spam folder. So make sure that Derek@sfof.com is a safe email, or if you feel like, hey, I didn't get the credentials, check your spam filter or your spam folder and make sure that it didn't get automatically routed to junk. So that's enough of announcements. Again, thanks to everybody for being here. And again, we're talking to Nebraska Treasurer John Murante, who also serves as SFOF's National Vice Chair this year. We're really excited to have him. So Treasurer Murante, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start one by saying that doesn't look like Lincoln, Nebraska as it is probably today, but boy, it looks
in the least.
It looks warm and cozy. I'm going to start by just reading Treasurer Murante's bio real quick. Treasurer Murante was born February 6, 1982 in Omaha, Nebraska. He's a proud graduate. By the way, happy belated birthday, just a few days ago. He's a proud graduate of Scott Catholic High School and the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. So he's a Husker, true and true. Married his wife, Melissa, on December 22nd, 2007, and they have one daughter, Talia, who is adorable. She's worth following John on their Facebook page just to see what she's up to. He's the former president of the iconic Big Fred's Pizza, which is an Omaha restaurant staple for years and years, multi-generation family restaurant. In 2012, Murante was elected to represent the Gretna-based 49th Legislative District. So he's got good legislative experience. It's from that experience then that he was elected state treasurer in 2018. Treasurer Murante is one of those guys that just kind of comes in and he's not going to take any time to kind of figure things out. He just kind of runs at 100 miles an hour. And I would imagine that his staff had to learn quickly that they had to run fast with him. He was named the SFOF Newcomer of the Year in 2019. He, in his first 10 months, not only had he been recognized in that way for several legislative initiatives that he launched right out of the gate, he hosted his first Smart Women, Smart Money event in Omaha on November 1st of that year, which hosted about 1,000 women from all over the city, the metro area of Omaha. So Treasurer Murante is a go-getter. He gets it done. And we're really, really excited to have him here today. So if everybody would help give a warm welcome, jazz hand welcome to Treasurer John Murante.
Thank you for the kind words, Derek. Wow.
Well, you are welcome. We're glad you're here. It's an honor to have you and to have you a part of what we're doing. You've become a vital part of SFOF, and I know that the Nebraska taxpayers are lucky to have you. Tell us what prompted you to leave the comfort of the Capitol and your seat in the unicameral to run for state treasurer.
What prompted me to leave serving in the legislature? I'm a sane person, so that was a good start. Really, we have had a string of very, very good state treasurers. So my predecessor, Don Stenberg, and his predecessor, Shane Osborne, have really left the office in great shape, great staff, a lot of experience. But Don Stenberg was term limited and heading out of office, and he was one of the first people to contact me with my experience, both having run a small business, but also serving in the legislature, having good relationships there, that we'd be able to hit the ground running. And I had, while I had a very competitive primary, I had the good fortune of being unopposed in my general election. So I was able to communicate. We have a couple of our staffers on today. Megan Aguirre runs our unclaimed property division. Rachel BR is our director of college savings and Enable, and then Charles Isom, communications director. But I was able to sit down with them very, very early on, knowing that I had an unopposed general election, and just met with all of them and said, what's your barriers to success? What is it that I can do for you, and work with the legislature and sort of utilize those relationships to have you maximize your efficiencies. And every single division came in with a pretty lengthy list of improvements that could be done. And really across the board, we were able to accomplish a lot of things in year one. So I appreciate the credits of being very aggressive in year one, but the reality is without their expertise, we wouldn't have been able to get those bills put together and really identify the problem. So they are really the ones who deserve that credit. So between Treasurer Stenberg, term limited and retiring, and getting a lot of support from friends and colleagues, I decided to take the plunge.
That's great. And of course, we know Don Stenberg well. He was one of our founding state treasurers for SFOF. So yeah, that was a fun transition. We were sad to see Don go, but it's been great getting to know you and your team. It's also just Charles, Megan, and Rachel, thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do as state staff to serve the state of Nebraska. I do want to point out Lauren Ferguson's on this call. Lauren, if you just wave. Lauren is our staff representative for SFOF. So if you ever have a question or issue that you want to figure out, maybe how another state is doing something or how other staff have handled situations, Lauren is a great resource, and she can, Lauren, I'll ask you to put your contact info again in the chat feature to let the staff know that they can reach out to you. So Treasurer, you mentioned, there were a lot of accomplishments in your first year. And, you're still, I understand you're pushing for a financial literacy requirement for high school students, which Treasurer Ball has done, I know, and there's been some other treasurers working towards that, which we applaud. I think it's badly needed, and we need to continue to push in that direction. But as you step back and look at all the things that you have accomplished, like what maybe are the top 2 or 3 that you're most proud of, that when you think about the impact that it has on the citizens of Nebraska?
Sure, I'd say really the first, my term so far has really been focused on the college savings program. Our program, first of all, I inherited a great program. So it was always reviewed very, very well. And really we were just trying to make a good plan better. But what we were focused on was, we had the problem that just about every state has, which is that our account owners were concentrated first in the metropolitan areas. So rural Nebraska was really, they needed some attention, additional attention. And second, they were concentrated with people with wealth. So low and moderate income households were disproportionately not taking advantage of our college savings program. And the statistics are really staggering on the impact on on the lives of children when they have any college savings at all. So the statistic that just floored me was for kids who have a college savings accounts with more than $1 but less than $500. So not very much money when you're in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about a 4-year college education. But those kids are 4 times more likely to go to college and 5 times more likely to graduate from college. So we pursued policies and legislation to incentivize low and moderate income households and really every Nebraska kid to save through NEST, our college savings program. So what we did was really a 3-pronged attack. First, starting with the kids born in 2020, every child who is born in the state of Nebraska is automatically enrolled in our college savings program with a seeded deposit. That'll vary from year to year, but in year 1, it's going to be at least $50. Step 2, the legislature created a low and moderate income matching grant program. So for kids who live in households at 200% of poverty or less, for every $1 that goes into their 529 account, the state will match 2. And for kids who live in households at 200 to 250% of poverty, for every dollar that goes into their college savings accounts, the state will match 1. And that's so important because we're not measuring the wealth of the donors. We really wanted to incorporate the philanthropic community in the state of Nebraska to incentivize them to give to low and moderate income households as well. So the match applies to them as well. We're not measuring the wealth of the person making the contribution. We're measuring the impact on low and moderate income households for the kids themselves. And then in addition to that, we knew that employers are going to be a big part of the solution to providing better access and awareness to 529 plans in the state. So in the same bill, the legislature passed an employer incentive program whereby, simply put, for every dollar, for an employer that creates a benefit for their employee, for every dollar that the employer puts into the employee's 529 plan, the state will give a reimbursement of 25% of that contribution for the employer. So it's a check that the state treasurer's office will write to the employer to incentivize the employer to create that benefit for their employees. So we think, and then other things that we thought were kind of creative ideas that were brought to our attention was as a way of addressing the cliff effect, where there are Nebraskans and people around the country, this isn't unique to Nebraska, who are at a point where they don't take pay increases because they would lose state aid benefits of some sort. We exempted 529 contributions from that income calculation. So they could go to their employer and say, well, I can't take a raise because I'll lose my benefit. But what you can do is contribute to a 529 plan, and they were held harmless. So that was a kind of a creative idea that we did, and then made sure that as employers were increasing their amount of contributions to their employees, that those weren't charged income tax. We just don't think that that's the right thing to do. The state shouldn't be generating money off of people saving for college education, and that didn't make a lot of sense to us. Plus, as everyone on this call probably knows, about 98% of account owners are not the beneficiaries. So the people who are actually benefiting from the college savings dollars are not the ones paying the taxes. So that didn't really make a lot of sense to us from a policy perspective. So that's really what we're proud of. We're currently rolling that out for the first time this year. In next month, the letters will go out and folks will know that they're automatically enrolled. So that's a little bit of a daunting task right now, but it's been exciting and it's been good.
That's great. When you back to your college savings seed program, we've heard those statistics about the success of a future student when they have a college savings account. So I applaud you for doing that. Where is the money coming from for that? That $50, is that taxpayer dollars? Are those private grant dollars? How is that getting built and being funded?
It's explicitly not tax dollars, so it's not coming out of our general fund. It is a 50% match. So of the dollars that come in from the philanthropic community, the state matches $1 from either the college savings, the fees that we collect from the college savings program, or the unclaimed property, extra money in the unclaimed property funds.
That's great. That's the kind of innovative thinking that we want to promote, where conservatives have gotten a bad rap over the years that we don't care about underprivileged, we don't care about the poor, and so these are the type of programs that can work with private grant dollars, private industry, as well as fees in this case, to really help those out. So kudos to you. What are some of the other things your office is responsible for?
So we have, the thing that makes us unique, I believe, is I think Nebraska is the only state in the country that runs our child support disbursement unit. So we actually run the child support payments. In addition, we have unclaimed property, of course, the cash management, the treasury management of the state, where really we're the state's banker. I know a lot of treasurers sort of think of themselves and are referred to explicitly as the CFOs of their state. And we're really not. In the 60s, the Nebraska Treasurer's Office was, the Nebraska Investment Council was created, and most investment authority was granted to that. So we don't do a lot in that regard. Basically, just where we function as the state's banker, and that's about it. So yeah, that's the bulk of what we do, and of course, enable savings as well.
Yes, of course. In terms of unclaimed property, have you come up with any innovative ways to help get taxpayers' money back to them? I know that that's been something that's really fun to watch from afar as states all have various, whether it's a media campaign or, veterans medal programs where they have these medals that get sent in safe deposit boxes that have been abandoned. What kind of innovative unclaimed property programs have you pursued?
Sure. Well, fortunately for me, in addition to Megan Aguirre, our unclaimed property director, being very experienced and knowledgeable, she's also quite creative. So she comes up with all sorts of fun ideas. I always, my favorite thing to do is, of course, the state fair. That's always the fun part. So going out there for a couple of weeks and just, returning unclaimed property to folks is about as fun as you can get. So it's great. We have a good time. But yeah, Megan, if you have anything in particular you'd like to share, feel free to.
Sure. Yeah. So the primary things that we do, we have a couple things that we're required to do for statute. One of them is the annual newspaper publication. So some of you are maybe familiar with those in your own states. I know that some states have done away with doing a newspaper publication. Some have continued to do them. We are continuing to do it where we will publish the names of all the owners that were reported over the previous year. So we will publish those names between March 1st and March 10th of every year. And it ends up being around, it's been up to 40,000 names. We upped the limit, so it's a little bit less than that now, but it's just kind of like the crazy call center operation for that first week where it gets published, where we tell tens of thousands of people to get a hold of us at once. But thanks to technology, that's been made a lot easier with online and fast tracking of claims. We also send out owner letter postcards. Whenever we have a last known address for an owner, we will send those out to them. We do that on a regular basis, and those have been very successful. But another thing that I have found that is a little bit unique in Nebraska is the level to which my staff will do individual research and track down individual owners. So most states will have somebody that does do research, but really all of my staff is empowered to when you've got some extra time to drill down, to try to get a hold of people. And my staff is very, very proactive in that way that, you don't have to have $10,000 or, any significant, really significant amount of money for you to get a individual outreach from a member of my staff. They'll reach out even as low as $1,000. Just in their spare time as they go through, if they notice property, sometimes when they're paying property for one person, they'll notice, a related claim, and they'll just go ahead and try to get that taken care of immediately as well. And then John mentioned the outreach events, the state fair, and then we also do a farm show and like a fall festival that are usually just pretty fun events that people get used to seeing us year after year, and they come to look for us, and so that's always fun as well. We've done a little bit of TV, a little bit of social media, that sort of thing. And this year was obviously very different for all of us between COVID, but the Nebraska Unclaimed Property Division also underwent a very significant software overhaul, which also kind of limited some of the major pushes for advertising and driving in claims. We were probably very appropriately advised to minimize some of those efforts as we were going through that transition to make sure everything was smooth before we really tried to put out that message to contact us to make sure our staff was well trained and everything was working as it was supposed to. So we look forward to doing more and different things in 2021 to try to get more claims.
That's great. A quick side story. When I was at the Kansas Treasurer's office, we had a senior citizen widow who we were trying to return a life insurance policy check to the tune of about $750,000. and she kept hanging up on me. We tried multiple times to return her money, and she goes, "Stop calling me. I know this is a prank." And she just didn't believe that she had it, and she wasn't aware that her husband had taken this policy out years ago. And it took the state treasurer, her local state representative, and the county sheriff showing up to her door with a giant check to get her to finally accept the funds. So I always have an affinity for the folks that work in unclaimed property. I think it's one of the great services to our citizens, to remind them that sometimes they forget about apartment deposits or utility deposits or life insurance policies. Mm-hmm. And so Treasurer Ball did have a quick question for you on unclaimed property, Megan or Treasurer. Do unclaimed property dollars go to your general fund at all?
They can. It's not a matter of, it doesn't happen annually. It's not automatic or anything like that. When times get tough, the legislature will come in and sweep the unclaimed property fund to help balance the budget. It's happened before. It's not happened since I've been treasurer. Admittedly, we're in year 3, so that's not too extensive a period. So it's happened before. I believe it happened when I was a state senator, but so it's happened before. It can be done. Doesn't happen routinely, and usually only when times get tough.
That's great. I want to just acknowledge today registered for this event. We've got corporations from Federated Hermes, Arabesque, Public Trust Advisors, OpenGov, Itedium, Singularis Group, Academy Securities, Clearwater Analytics, JP Morgan Chase, and then we have treasurers or state staff from Kentucky, South Dakota, Louisiana, Missouri, Idaho, and of course, Nebraska. So at this point, I think what we'll do is we'll open it up for some Q&A. If you have questions, just let me know in the chat feature that you'd like to ask a question, and then I'll call on you. And if not, we can wrap up. Just we'll see if anybody's got a question. This is where the Jeopardy theme song should be playing.
This may not be as interesting to everyone else, but just to follow up on that UCP question, if they sweep the fund, do people still have the right to be able to claim that at a later point? They don't lose that?
Yes.
So it's not a true achievement to the state.
Correct.
Got it.
Hey, Derek.
Hey, Treasurer Schroeder, how are you?
I'm just sitting here diligently working and listening. Since nobody has any questions, I thought I'd throw one out there. Good to see everybody. John, you make a good point about being a state's banker, because that's predominantly what the treasurer is here in Louisiana. You know, with the pandemic and some of the things we've learned, I'm curious to hear from a cash management standpoint, a deposit standpoint. Not sure who your state bank is. Ours is JP Morgan Chase. You know, there's been some unique things that were created from COVID. For instance, daily deposits has become a problem. Having personnel here to take those deposits. I'm just curious if you have thought about that. I'm sure you have. And have y'all come up with any ideas with your bank?
Yes, so the main bank is US Bank for us. I would say so one of the really good things that I inherited was a disaster recovery plan. So we had a pretty well vetted disaster recovery plan, and even had a very specific pandemic section to it. This is what happens when a pandemic hit. So we were ahead of the game there. We had a good plan. There was a period of time, only about maybe 2 months, where we stopped collecting deposits at the Capitol building and just had the state agencies go directly to depository banks. That was not ideal for a number of reasons. That's not something that we would ever consider continuing on after the pandemic is over. We've already stopped doing that and collecting the deposits at the Capitol again, and have for quite some time, since the summer or so. But we just think that's the better approach for us. But there was a period of time where we stopped collecting deposits entirely and just had them go through windows at local banks.
Yeah, I pretty much blocked that idea because I didn't want staff going in the evening times with $1 billion+ dropping money into deposit boxes, with the towns looking like there was nobody in town anyway. I just, it's something that I think that we need to work on somehow, be it either technology, as I said in another meeting recently with some treasurers. What is Plan B? Plan B needs to become Plan A. Clearly, that's one of the problems that stick out to me, caused by the pandemic, that we haven't addressed. And how do we collect money as a state in dollars and change, and have it show up at the department every day, 5 days a week when you don't have anybody here. We had to send people here just to take deposits. So I'm just curious. I think that's a conversation that has to happen at a high level to see how we can address that.
And Treasurer, I'm just curious, most of those deposits, were they from other state agencies and municipal governments, or when they're bringing paper checks or physical cash deposits, what kind of agencies are collecting those?
Yeah, as John said, I mean, we're basically the state banker. So some departments make their own deposits, but quite a bit of it comes to the Department of Treasury that we manage and deposit on a daily basis. When everything is prior to the pandemic, it really wasn't that big of a deal. But it became a big deal on how we did that during the pandemic. And we haven't addressed that. I'm looking for some something creative to hopefully, I know JP Morgan does a lot of business across the country, and just want to try to drive that conversation to see from a technology standpoint, how can we manage day to day without coin and dollar bills?
Yeah,
that's an interesting question, John Schroeder, because we have the same issue in Kentucky. Most of our staff for the whole pandemic has been just for deposits, but we don't have a comfort level in letting the agencies do deposits themselves. Probably John Murante, for the same reasons that you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. That really, it does need to be something we need to be thinking about, because we have people in the office just for that reason.
Right. I just want to out there.
And there's a security risk with that.
Right. I don't have that answer, by the way. That's why I'm throwing it out there.
yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that topic? It is something I think would make a great conversation at maybe our national meeting in July, and we can talk to Lori with JP Morgan and some of our other sponsor guests that are here that are involved in the space. Lori, do you have anything you want to add on that?
No, I was actually just jotting down a note. I'll take it offline and maybe we do a session, right? Maybe we do kind of a creative brainstorming session and bring in some of our experts on the matter, and we'll either do it at the national, or if we do a virtual, that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
So let's take that offline.
I like
So I'm
that.
sure there are certainly ways that we can provide some insight.
Yeah. Yeah. Short of mandating that all agencies and lower levels
Right.
of government do digital payments or digital collection, I don't know of a way to prevent, those wildlife and parks fees that come in increments of $21.13. And, I don't know how to do that. And if somebody figures that out, they're going to be very, very popular. So it is a problem, and it's compounded tenfold with the pandemic and the issue of folks shouldn't be around one another. So thank you for bringing that up, Treasurer Schroeder, and we'll continue to look into that. Megan had a question about some of the technology advancements for unclaimed property. Two jump to mind. One, there's been a couple states that have developed a technological bridge between the state's unclaimed property system and the Department of Revenue. As the Department of Revenue is the place where everybody pays their taxes. That is the primary location for all of your state citizens' latest addresses and PII. And there have been great developments in systems that basically allow the unclaimed property system to automatically match and compare every property to every tax file and address that comes in. In Kansas, we actually developed that while I was there. And it's something that actually, when we started, we had to, it was like a spigot that we thought would, drip a few hundred a day. And it was more like a major fire hydrant that came on, and our unclaimed property staff were overwhelmed at first with, about 8,000 new files to start working on. So we had to turn that down and figure out how to adjust it to where it was a manageable number on a daily basis. But that was one that really changed things, because suddenly our Department of Revenue was not talking at all to us. And it took a statutory change with the blessing of both the Commissioner of Revenue as well as the State Treasurer to get that passed and work together. The other thing I'll mention is one of our sponsors, ClaimFound, is a technology company that are doing, they are really making major headway in terms of mapping technology, where, in the past, there have been heat maps used for various data points and things, but this is a little different in that the way that I've seen it, you can really drill down to a neighborhood and an address of someone that actually has unclaimed property coming back to them. So I know that they've been working with the state of Florida. They just launched a new initiative with the State Treasurer of Maine on February 1st. And I know they're talking to several folks on this call and others. So I would encourage you to explore that. Any other questions? Well, I want to thank you. Thank you, Treasurer Murante, for being on here. We're looking forward to this year as you continue to serve as National Vice Chair, which means that the likelihood is high that he'll end up serving as our National Chair in 2022, which is also SFOF's 10th anniversary year. And so we're going to be planning some big things for 2022, and Treasurer Murante will be in the center of that. And so thanks again to all of the staff members, Megan, Charles, and Rachel in particular. Thanks for all you do to support Treasurer Murante. And thanks again to all of our sponsors who are here today. We appreciate everybody's time, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.